right, so today we are going to be painting our relief sculptures. You can use crayon, marker, or oil pastel. And then you can also use tempera paint, which I will be passing out to you. This is going to be a limited palette, as I've been telling you, so you can either choose the warm colors or the cool colors, and then I also have white that you can mix with it too. The nice thing about using the limited color palette is you don't have to wash your brush in between. These colors can mix and still look very beautiful and not get too muddy. So you can kind of do a combination of any of those materials that you want to. And remember, you can paint or color right over the top of the tape. My turtle, as you've seen the last few weeks, is already painted. So I'm just showing you on a piece of paper how to mix your colors and how to do this. So I'm going to do just a really simple background of white and blue. And so I'm going to start with kind of a darker color, blue. My colors, I'm painting this from home, so my colors are going to be a little bit different than what we have at school. But you can see if I just dip right into the blue and the white together and kind of mix it right on the paper, it will look very realistic and very natural. So it's okay if you don't mix them right on your plate. You can mix them together on your plate, but the best thing to do is just to mix them right on your paper and right on your sculpture. Now, when you get to the edge of something that you want to be a different color, look at how slow I'm going. And we do something called loading the brush. Loading the brush means you want to get enough paint on there that you can kind of push the paint right up to the edge. See how I did that? Also notice that I am going back and forth in the same direction. And I'm working kind of quickly because I want to still be able to mix that paint while it's still wet. So again, I'm going slow on the edge of my turtle. And then I'm going to get some more white. And I'm not washing my brush in between. I'm not putting a lot of paint on my brush either, because if you put too much paint on your brush, it won't mix on your paper. So I'm just back and forth, nice and neat. When I get to the edge, nice and slow around the edge. Now, if you are doing oil pastel, once this dries, you can do oil pastel on the top. You can touch up any mistakes that you have. You can also touch up mistakes once it dries. So let's say that I went over his foot a little too much. I'm gonna do it on purpose. So I went over his foot just a little too much. Once that's dry, I can go back over the top of it with my green or my purple. Plan your colors ahead, because with a limited color palette, if I made my water green, which I certainly could do, I could mix some greens in here if I wanted to, but if you do that, know that you're gonna have to do something a little bit different on your turtle. If my water's green and my turtle's green, you're not going to be able to see them. And see here, I made a little mistake and went into his leg a little bit. That's okay. I'll just go over the top of it once it dries, okay? So what I would do is finish with one color. I would definitely go background first. Start with your background. That way you can touch anything up. If you make a mistake on your animal, you can touch that up. The best thing to do always is start with your background, and notice that I kind of work my way down from the top. That way my hand is not getting into any of the wet paint. And I'm just kind of dabbing into the white, getting some white on there. And it's gonna look really natural that way. I'm gonna show you the shell now too. So let's say that I finished painting the blue background. I'm just gonna go back and forth and get as much of that blue off as I can on the paper towel. And now I am going to paint the turtle. And I wanted to kind of plan this out. So I'm gonna do purple on his spots and green on his shell. So again, background, I'm gonna start with the background of my turtle, and I can go right over that blue mistake that I made. And it's okay. It'll go right over the top of it and hide any of those mistakes. Now, my green is a little bit thinner. The green that we have at school is nice and thick, and you'll be able to paint over with it if you're using the cool colors. Remember, warm colors are red, orange, and yellow. So if you're using warm colors, you'll get those red, orange, and yellow. So you'll have to choose whether you want the warm colors or the cool colors, and then also white. If I wanted to add a little bit of white in here, or if I even wanted to mix a little purple into the background of his shell, I can do that while it's still wet. Notice that I'm kind of going a little slower with this because I don't want to paint over those spots. I'm taking my time and really getting those edges nice and neat. And whatever size brush you have will work. I'm using a bit of a bigger brush. Little brushes will work too. Whatever you have in your watercolor set, that's what you're gonna use for your brush. I'll bring around some brushes too in case you don't have a brush, or if you need a, some of you I know lost your brushes when we were painting last time. So I'll have some extra brushes on the cart too, and we'll sanitize those in between uses. So I'm just going nice and slow around the edge, and his head and his legs are also going to be green. So I'm going to show you how this is almost dry already, and I can go right over the top of that mistake I made and see how it just covers it right up. As long as it's dry, it will do that. If it's still wet, it will mix. So wet mixing in my background was great, but I don't want that to happen with my turtle's foot. So I'll wait till that's dry and then go over the top of it. And it does dry really quick. We're gonna take 2 weeks to add color. So we'll work on it this week, and then we'll finish up our color next week. But you can see how quickly this is going, and I don't think you will have any problem finishing, especially if you're doing some oil pastel on the top once it's dry. Okay, so that's how we're gonna paint our background. And if I want to switch colors again, I'm just gonna kind of very gently go back and forth on my paper towel. I'm not squeezing my brush at all. And then I can start adding my purple to where I want my purple. And obviously I'm showing you this on the video quickly, but I would wait until this is dry. So I'm gonna start adding his purple spots on. See how I kind of plan that out ahead of time. Now here, if I wanted to add some blue, I could do maybe purple on the outside and blue on the inside, because the edge is gonna be a different color. So again, I have to plan that out a little bit. What's gonna be purple, what's gonna be blue? I don't want my blue touching my blue background because it will just end up disappearing. All right, so take your time, do a really good job painting. Make sure that you're really focused so that we don't have any mistakes or spills. Have a great time.